Well, good morning, good people. Mark Holmes here, and as always, I want to say thank you all for watching, commenting, subscribing, and being part of the Jobu Sports Report. Without you guys, as well as you ladies, you know that this literally does not work. I hope everybody's having a great day. It is finally freaking Friday, and I was missing in action. Philly 500 will tell you it's because, and Dan Salio will tell you because Mark Holmes is hiding. No, Mark Holmes is giving back, okay? We are actually here in Vermont helping some people get back into their homes. Today, I hope to have this young lady's place who has been out of it, her and her daughter, for 6 months. And we're going to try and get her kitchen all together and working today and done. We've got some great volunteers that are working with us, and hopefully we'll get that thing done. So I'm not hiding from you, Philly. I am not hiding. In fact, Philly, you and Dan Salio, since we know you're not going to go anywhere, you're not going to go to Philly on, just before New Year's. We know you're not going to do that. But if you do, I'll be there. I'll be there. Yes, I'll be there. If not, I challenge you, Philly 500 and Dan Salio. Let's meet in Dallas for the Eagles game. How about that? How about that? Yeah, get back to me. So, when we got back last night, we had another meeting, and by the time we finished all that stuff, it was, like 7:30 and all that. I did a video talking about Ryan Clark, where he's literally just trying to get attention now. The things he's saying just don't even make sense. When you say that Stephen Smith, you're not going to like it, Stephen A. Smith, because the Cowboys are going to implode, and you're not going to. No, if the Cowboys implode, that's all they'll talk about. That'll be actually more to talk about. So, be that as it may. But, from time to time, we lose our way. Okay? We lose our way, and then you need to get bitch slapped back to reality. And I got an email this morning. I woke up early. It's kind of crazy because it seems like, I guess because we're so far north, that it's like 5 o'clock and the sun's just about up. But Daryl sent me an email and said, "Too much whining. I used to really enjoy your podcast, but now it's nonstop whine fest. They still have the core of their team and talent that's won 36 games over the last 3 seasons. Now what? All of a sudden they've forgotten how to play football? They praise all the things Philly did in the offseason and the draft. They said the same thing about Philly last year, too. Oh, they picked up this guy and they picked up that guy and drafted this and that player. And how'd that work out for them? They still have the same suck-ass head coach, who, mind you, is on the hot seat, too, who gets out-coached in games that matter, and overrated quarterback. Philly doesn't scare Dallas, and Prescott is going to have them in contention this year, too. So shout out to you, Daryl Palmer. I appreciate you bringing me back to reality of what the Cowboys do. They're always there. And if you look at Vegas, forget the noise from ESPN and those guys. They don't know what they're talking about. This is made for TV for entertainment purposes only. Because the reality is, as Daryl pointed out, and I've tried to give you all facets of the arguments and things, but the reality is the Cowboys never do anything in free agency. Every year, every single year of the last 3, or actually we should say 4 because they're doing it again, they've said the same thing. Dak Prescott not going to get paid. Dak Prescott, the most pressure is on Dak Prescott. Mike McCarthy's going to get fired. All these things we've heard, all of them, every single one of them. And guess what? Mike McCarthy's still here. Dak Prescott's still here, and they still win 12 games. And for you Eagles, sorry, bro, sorry. It's crazy to me in my mind that one of the franchises that had been the biggest disappointment in the NFC East for so long, how many years did it take you to finally win a Super Bowl? Finally to win a Super Bowl. And you got one. You got the least amount of Super Bowl wins in the division. Yes. The Commanders with the left hand up have 3. Mind you, that's as many as your world championships. Yeah, take that. The Giants got 4. That's your 1 Super Bowl and your world championships put together for the Giants. And then the Cowboys got 5. Yeah, great. So you guys have made a little hay now. But what about the rest of that history now? Because it's funny to me how y'all talk about it's been 29 years since you'd have done anything. You know what, bro? We still got another 20 years to go to your drought. So kiss my high yellow hind parts. Okay? Thank you, David. Daryl, you got me motivated this morning. Now, here's one of the things that will still bug you, because the Cowboys are a good team. The thing is, sometimes they don't do the things they need to be that great team. We have talked about problems with linebacker since 2017. Or was it 2018? When Leighton Van Der Esch was a rookie and Jalen Smith had that great season. That was the last great season we had of linebacker play. A couple of years ago, we were so desperate for linebackers, we ended up signing, from Minnesota, Anthony Barr, who was literally had torn his ACL and was still recovering. And we still really didn't do anything, although we drafted Overshown, he got hurt. We could have had Bobby Wagner a few years ago. Bobby Wagner wanted to play with Dan Quinn. Listen to this interview that he had with KS.
You're in Washington. You're back with Dan Quinn. He's your DC in Seattle. 2013, y'all won a Super Bowl together. Why the Commanders? How big of going there was him? And what is it about his coaching, his leadership that makes you want to play with him again?
I think the biggest thing for me is, like, I've always been on the West Coast. So coming to the East Coast, you want to come and kind of have and be around, some familiar faces. And so, obviously I had a ton of respect from him from afar. We actually tried to make it happen a couple times. It just didn't work out structurally from a contract perspective, but we finally got it right. I think, him as a person, him as a leader has always been amazing. I think a big thing too was being able to be coached by Coach Norton again. He's like my favorite coach of all time, and so being able to be back in the room with him again is great too.
So DQ did try to get you to go to the Cowboys.
This is correct.
Why? And it didn't work out. Why?
It didn't work out. They got asked the Cowboys there.
And now you get to face the Cowboys twice a year. That's interesting.
Yeah, but I have no feelings there. It's definitely not on the same level of Seattle.
You're in.
Okay. Yeah. So you could look at it and say Bobby Wagner would have made a hell of a difference for the Cowboys last year with the playoffs and run stopping, because that's what Bobby Wagner does. And I'm not saying that Bobby Wagner is necessarily the answer right now, but Bobby Wagner would have been better than and more experienced than anybody we'd had on the roster the last couple of years. And you could have had him a couple of years ago and signed him to a deal that would not have been that much money. And that goes to the bottom line with everything with the Cowboys is they feel like everybody is supposed to take less money to be a Dallas Cowboy. They just do. And that's the downfall of the organization. You can't build a team through free agents, but you can supplement what you're doing with free agents and get yourself into a better position. You can get yourself more depth and playmakers. It may be a guy who, is only good for 20, 25 plays a game, but if they're game-changing plays, where you've got a good rotation of great defensive linemen, or hell, you just have a linebacker as opposed to a safety playing linebacker, you'd probably be in better shape. And that's one of the things that drive you crazy as a Cowboy fan. Yes, Cowboys will be a good team. And so now, here's the narrative out here that you get, no matter what happens. Last year, that was determined that we were going to have a tough start to the season, and we're going to have a rougher end to the season and stuff. and things, and it was doom and gloom. Now this year, the worst games are definitely early on. But after Thanksgiving, the schedule gets very, very favorable. I think we've got like 6 of the last 9 games, I think, are at home. It's just unbelievable where the Cowboys could get some momentum if they play well early. So, of course, that's a bad thing. Let's listen to him here.
By far the worst of all the scheduling from yesterday. Graziano, how about another winner?
Yeah, you know who doesn't have a tough schedule from week 11 on is the Cowboys. 6 of their last 9 games are going to be at home. In that 9-game stretch, they get both of their Washington games. They get their home game against the Giants. The Cowboys get through the first half of the season. The second half sets up pretty well for them to take a shot at defending their NFC East title, which, as we all know, they can't do because nobody can.
Here's the interesting piece of this, and Dan will continue to point out that no one ever wins that division in back-to-back seasons. It hasn't happened in 20 years. That said, RC, the Cowboys, we all understand the level of craziness that will surround them getting off to a bad start, right? It'll start here on Get Up, and then it'll go nuts across the hall on First Take, right? So it's all nice and well and good that the finish of their schedule is, but that means they're getting some of the tough games early. Yeah. If they get off to a slow start, that could be a very rocky little period of time.
If it gets off to a slow start, this team will implode. You're talking about Mike McCarthy on the last year of his contract, Dak Prescott also on the last year of his contract, and thinking about Jerry Jones saying they'd be all in the offseason, and they've been all out, right? They've been out of touch, right? They've been out of the game. They've been out of actually participating in the offseason and attempting to win a Super Bowl. So as soon as it goes bad, it's not going to matter what happens on Get Up, although it's going to happen on Get Up. It's not going to matter what Stephen A. does at Southern Steve. What's going to matter is that Jerry Jones failed this team. That Stephen Jones didn't do what it took to get this team in a position to go win. And I believe that Mike McCarthy is out right away, and I believe that Dak Prescott is looking to get out and go get $60 million from someone else, and that this team will be so far out of it by the time the easy part of the schedule rolls along, that when the Eagles, that when the Texans, and when the Bengals, who will still visit AT&T late in the season, come to town, they'll blow their doors off too.
Wow, that's a really interesting way of looking at it. And look, another way of putting it here, D. Wood, is if you have an year's part of your schedule is later, that requires a little patience.
Yes.
And the Cowboys are not a team either from the inside or from the outside that we usually associate with patience.
Yeah, listen, it's a big year for everyone, as RC stated. You know, from the head coach, from the quarterback. You know, you got Michael Parsons want to get paid. CD Lamb wants to get paid. What if CD Lamb doesn't report? Like you got to think about these type of things. You know, there's a lot of things that can contribute to a slow start. They're depending on rookies, because we know the Dallas Cowboys traditionally they don't dive in a free agency like some other teams. They depend on draft and develop. So listen, it could be a rocky start. We're going to see how this team will be able to keep it together if it does happen.
Speaking of that, very quickly, Dan Graziano, my insider extraordinaire, I remember having these conversations. Well, they'll get Dak done. Well, they'll get CD done. Well, they'll get Micah Parsons done. What is it, May 16th? Did I miss something, or have they not gotten any of them done?
Nobody's missed anything. They'll get CD done. I don't know if they'll get Dak done before next offseason. I don't know if they'll get Micah done before next offseason, but CD Lamb needs a deal, and I think he'll get one. You'll start to see the top of that wide receiver market move a little bit. You actually saw it a little bit right before the draft.
Okay.
All right. Now, I have some thoughts, and I'll share them with you guys a little bit later on the hard part of the schedule being early versus it being late. I dare say, I think it's a good thing, and I'll give you my reasons why I think it'll be a good thing. And we'll see. As always, good people, I appreciate you. It is 7 o'clock, and I got to head to the truck so we can go to Home Depot, and then we got about an hour drive to the site and get working. And yeah, there you have it. I'm Mark Holmes, and I appreciate you guys. Peace out.